Hello everyone, this is Ishan from FPN Automation, and in today's demo we're focusing on converting multiple currencies, in our case Euro and GBP, into a unified global currency which is going to be USD. Now here we have the final result of what we want to achieve by end of this demo. And what it is a report that allows an organization to switch back and forth between local currencies and global currency, in this case USD. So here I have a transaction of negative 3,390, which is transacted in euros on January 1st of 2019. And at that time, the exchange rate was 1.07. So if I were to click USD, it is automatically going to calculate all that and give me the currency value in USD, as you can see right here. Now, why do we need to do this? This is crucial for businesses that operate internationally because it will allow them to consolidate all financial data from all these different locations, which use all these different currencies, into a single comprehensible currency. This data is also essential for accurate financial reporting and budgeting, because by having all these transactions in a single currency, company is able to create a consolidated financial statement that is much easier to analyze and interpret. It also allows for a lot better comparison between the different locations, different regions, because they'll all be using a common currency. And then on top of that, the additional benefits we can get from Power BI itself is we can save time by reducing human errors, because we can have Power BI do all the currency calculations automatically, hence giving us more time to spend on analyzing the data to make better decisions. Also, we can create a dynamic analysis so an organization can utilize local and global currencies to their needs. So if they want to analyze based on local currency, they're able to just do it with a single click. And if they want to do it globally, they can also do that with a single click by just clicking on USD. Now I'm going to show you the data we are going to be working with in this demo, and I'll try to break it down a little so we can all understand the data and why we need all those things in our data. So first up, we have here is our transactions, which contains our organization key column, which I'll explain what it is a little later on. Then we have our date column, and we have our transaction amounts in amount column. Next up, we have our exchange rate column, and here we can see that we have date, currency, and the exchange rate columns. And an exchange rate is based on the particular currency on that particular date. Next, we have organization, and here we see the organization key again. And what it is, it's a unique number that is tied to a unique geographical location of the company. So, for example, number 3 is tied to FP Automation LLC USA. Number 4 is tied to FP Automation LLC Netherlands. Then we have a currency value, which is also tied to the geographical location. So USA will do transactions in USD, Netherlands would do it in euros, and UK will do it in GBP. And lastly, we have our currency switch. So this way we can create a switch between a local and a global. In our case, global is USD. So between local and USD. Now we're going to open up Power BI and start creating this report from scratch. Once we have our Power BI open and ready, we are going to import our data, which is in an Excel file, And we can do this multiple ways. The first way is simply clicking here, import data from Excel. Second is clicking on import data from a Microsoft Excel workbook. And lastly, we can just simply click on get data, select Excel workbook, connect, select our data, click open. And now our data is here, and we just want to load in our transaction table, organization table, exchange rate table, and currency switch table. Now we don't want to click load. We have to do some transformations to make our report work. And as we go through the demo, I'm going to show you what transformations we need to do and why we need to do it. So go ahead and click transform data. And once we are in Power Query Editor, we want to go ahead and select our transaction tables. And here is why we need to do some transformations, because we don't have all the information we need to create our report here. So first thing we're missing is the currency. So as of right now, we do not know what currency this $8,378 transaction occurred in. So what we need to do to get the currency that these transactions transacted in is to merge queries. So we are going to click merge queries. We are going to select our organization, and we want to select our organization keys in both of these tables and click OK. So once we have that, we want to click on these arrows, and we only want to see the currency. So once we have that, you can see that these transactions now have the currency that they transacted in. Next thing we want to do is rename the column. So you always want to make sure you properly name the columns so the person who's looking through has an idea of what this column is. So I'm just going to name it transaction currency. And now what we need is we need a column for the exchange rate, so we can finally create a column for our global amount. So to do that, but before we do that, I want to show you something, and then keep in mind, because it's going to make a lot of sense after I explain it. So if we go to transform and we click on count rows, remember this number 7726. Okay, now I'm going to undo the step, and I'm going to merge queries again to try to get our exchange rate. So this time we're going to use the exchange rate table, and we're going to select transaction currency and currency. Now I click OK, then I select just our currency rate. Now watch what happens when I count rows now. We get duplicates. So our number should be 7726, but here we are getting 285,862. So something is wrong, and I'll tell you what we did wrong and how we can fix it. So we're going to undo these merge query step and count steps, and we're going to click on merge query again. And this time what we need to do is we need to select the dates as well. So we have the exchange rates for those dates. So hold your control key, click on date, and then click on transaction currency. Similar to here, click on date and currency next. Always make sure that you click in the correct order, because the order does matter. So if we click date first here, you want to select date first here. If we, and currency second. So now if we click OK, and I just see the rates here, and now if I do the count, you can see it adds up 7726. So always make sure to check these things, because one little error could mess up your entire data. So now we will just rename this for better readability, and I'm just going to call it exchange rate. Now, one final thing we need is our column for USD amount or global amount, which is multiplication between the amount column and exchange rate column. So in order to do that, we are going to select our amount column, then click on add column, and we're going to use standard calculation function, and we're going to use multiply. We don't want to put any value because we want to multiply this amount column values with the exchange rate column values. So in order to do that, we are going to click here and select use values in a column. And next we just select our columns that we want to multiply. So amount column multiplied by exchange rate. Now just simply click OK, and here we have our USD amount. So let's just rename that to USD amount. Now in Power Query Editor, we have done everything we needed to do. We have transformed the data and got it to where we needed. So we can simply head over to Home tab and close and apply. Once it's loaded in, next step we're going to take is I want to click on enter data, and I'm going to call this currency calculation. Click load, and within this I'm going to create our first measure out of our 3 measures that we need to create. And the first measure would be to get the sum of local amount, which is located in transaction table under amount column. So we are going to name it local amount is equal to sum of transaction amount. So that's our first measure. We can also just delete the column 1 from our model by simply right-clicking on it and clicking on delete from model. Now we need to do the same thing for our USD column. So we want to name it USD amount equals sum and transaction, and from within that we want to select our USD column, USD amount column. So we have our 2 measures that does one calculates the sum of all the amounts in our amount column, which is our local amount, and the second one calculates all the values and sums it up in our USD amount column, which is also our global currency. So last measure we need to create is for currency switch. So we will name it currency switch is equal to, and we'll create a variable called currency selection. Now, variable names cannot have space in between them, but if you like to have some sort of space, you can use underscore like this, but I prefer doing it this way, so I'll keep it like this for now, but you could do it either way. So now we have created our variable, we named it currency selection. We want to set it equal to selected value from our currency switch currency, and we want to put comma and in quotation put USD. And I'll explain what exactly this does. So this is the first portion of our formula, and what it does is it creates a variable called currency selection, which will capture user's input between the local and USD amount, and based on that it would get the data from that particular column. So, and finally we put the USD dollars in USD in quotations here. It's because we are providing a default value, if no selection is made because we do not want to load in blank values. And finally, we're just returning it. And continuing the formula, we are going to use a switch function, switch true, comma, we're going to use our variable that we created, currency selection is equal to, if it's equal to USD, show USD amount, comma, currency selection is equal to local, show local amount. And there. Now we have all our measures, and what this portion of the formula does is it checks for the value of currency selection. So if it's USD, it will return the USD amount, which is the transaction amount converted to USD. And if it's local, it just returns the local amount, the original transaction amount. Now we can start building our report. So first thing I want to do is I want to import a little image I created, a very basic dashboard image. And I'll just put it right here in the center. And now we can start adding our slicers and tables. So first thing I'll do is I'll add a slicer for our currencies switch, which is local and USD, and I'll change the slicer setting to show it in a tile format. Now I'll just resize this, and I'll drag it right here. Resize it a little more. Okay, so now we have our local and USD. Next, I want to create a slicer for month, so I'm going to create another slicer so we can filter it out by month, the transactions. So for that, we want to head over to transactions, date. In the date hierarchy, we want to select month. Now this, I am simply just going to leave it in a list format and fit it in here. So as you can see, let me see if I can make it slightly bigger. Okay, I made it. Let me rearrange these. I just want them to fit it all in without the scroll bar. Okay, there we go. This should be good enough. And this also fits properly. We center it a little more. And now what we need is our table visual. So we are going to click on table, click outside that, click on table, arrange it to align with it. And few things we are going to do here is we are going to change the exchange rate from the sum to don't summarize if we want a list of all the exchange rates instead of them being summed up. Also, we will do the same for first we'll go ahead and add the date field in to our table. Okay, so now we have the year, quarter, month, and day. Now you can obviously, based on your preference, you can decide not to use quarter, then you can simply just click that, exit out. Next we'll use our organization key. Then I personally would use our currency, the which currency the transaction happened in. And we can use exchange rate, and then we can use our amount, which is also a sum. We don't want a sum. Don't summarize. And lastly, our currency switch. So let's check it now. So we have on January 1st, organization 3, which is USA, exchange rate 1.0, amount this, and currency switch is in local, it's the same. So if we switch over to USD, it should be the same because it's just USD. But if we were to change it, let's sort the organization. As you can see right here, organization key is 13, exchange rate is 1.07, amount in that currency is negative 1995, and when we switched over to USD, the amount is negative 2,134.65 cents. So this is how we can set up a currency switch between local and a global currency, and we're able to have it dynamically switch extremely easily between either of the currencies. So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you have any feedbacks or suggestions, please leave a comment. Or if you want us to create a particular video on any of the technologies on the Power Platform, please let us know. We can do that, absolutely. And finally, if you have more questions or concerns of what we do, you can head over to our website, fpautomation.co, click on Solutions page. Here you can see what we do. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can click on Contact Us page and you can fill out the information here. Thank you so much again, and see you in the next video.